every direction. Torrents of ecstatic tears constantly bathe his face. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Just by hearing the sounds of mridanga, his feet begin dancing. This captures one's mind, providing such pleasure that one's hair stands on end. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. His dancing is so beautiful that it conquers the pride of the Gandharvas and amazes the assembly of all expert dancers and singers. Srila Narottama Das Thakur has thus initiated his own style of singing and playing the mridanga, called Manohara Sahi. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Sometimes just to the ground. Thus his effulgent body is adorned by the dust as a decoration. Only by the greatest fortune may one behold this divine sight. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Wherever his mercy flows, it will completely uproot the thirst for anything other than Krishna in all the people assembled there. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. His faith and steadiness of devotion is as solid as a rock. His touch transforms like the philosopher's stone. His words are as beneficial as the words of the scriptures. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Whenever pious people see him, they begin to ponder, is he an embodiment of devotion, or is he the incarnation of renunciation in this world? And we'll just read up to verse 9. A person who is absorbed in the ocean of pastimes of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna should read these 8 prayers aloud. By doing so, he will certainly attain the same abode obtained by Srila Narottama himself. 10 and 11, I'm not sure, but at least 10 and 11, they're not in the same meter. So, I mean, we can read them. By Srila Narottama's merciful glance, even such qualities as unrestrained anger will be pacified. Let his beautiful limbs, the glow of his teeth, his lotus-like face, his sight and smile and his dancing be manifested in my heart. Made blissful by the exceedingly sweet sound of the mridanga and kartals, and drinking the honey of the glorification of Sri Gaurangadev, as his lotus feet dance in a most enchanting fashion, may that Sri Narottama Thakur gratify me, his lowly servant, by bestowing the fulfillment of my internal desire. Shri Krishna Namamrita Varshi Vaktra Chandra Prabhavdvastatamo Bharaya Shri Krishna Namamrita Varshi Vaktra Chandra Prabhavdvastatamo Bharaya Gauranga Devanucharaya Tasmai Namo Namah Srila Narottamaya Tasmai Namo Namah Srila Narottamaya Sankirtanananda Janmadahasya Tantadyutityodatadin Mukhaya Sveda Sudharasnapitaya Tasmai Namo Namah Srila Narottamaya Mridanganama Shrudimatra Chanchat Padambuja Mandamanoharaya
Sadhya samudyat pulakaya tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Yatasmai Gandharva Garbha Kshapana Svalasya Visma Vidashesha Kriti Vajaya Svashrishta Garna Pratithaya Tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Ananda Murcha Vanipata Bhata Dhuli Bharalankrita Vigrahaya Ananda Murcha Vanipata Bhata Dhuli Bharalankrita Vigrahaya Yaddarshanam Bhagya Bharena Tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Sthale Sthale Yasya Kripa Prabhavi Ksharnaya Trishna Jana Samhitana Nirmulita eva bhavanti tasmai Namo Namah Shri Narottamaya Yad bhakti nishto palarekhikiva Sparsha punasparshamani vayasya Pramanyanevam shrutivadhyadiyam Tasmai Namah Shri Narottamaya Murteva Bhakti Kimayam Kimesha Vairagya Sarasthanumandaloke Sambhavyate yakriti sadaiva Tasmai Namah Shri Narottamaya Shri Radhika Krishna Vilasa Sindho Nimajita Shri Narottamasya Patedya evashrakame taducchai Asyo tadiyam padavim prayati Shivakra Chandra Prabhatvastatamo Bharaya Goranga Devanucharaya Tasmai Namo Namah Srila Narottamaya Ki Rupe Paivo Seva.
How can an ill-behaved person like me attain devotional service? Okay.
Your URL, yeah.
How can an ill-behaved person like me attain devotional service? I have no loving attachment for Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. My mind is endlessly absorbed in Maya, and I don't even have the slightest loving attachment to the Vaishnavas. I have been blinded due to being absorbed in sense gratification day and night, and the witch named Maya repeatedly hangs a noose around my neck. There is no way to defeat her or give her up unless I attain the mercy of the saints. O Vaishnava, O Master, you do not look for faults, but you simply redeem the fallen. This time, redeem this Narottama.
Ki Rupe Paivo Seva Mui Durachar Ki Rupe Paivo Seva Mui Durachar Shri Guru Vaishnavati Na hoilo yamar Shri Guru Vaishnavati Na hoilo yamar Ki Rupe Paivo Seva Mui Durachar অশেষ মায়াতে মন মগন হইল অশেষ মায়াতে মন মগ্ন হইল বৈষ্ণবেতে দেশমাত্র রতি না জন্মিল বৈষ্ণবেতে লেশ মাত্র রতি না জন্মিল কি রূপে পাইব সেবা মুই দুরাচার কি রূপে পাইব সেবা মুই দুরাচার বিষয়ে বলিয়া অন্ধ হইনু দিবানিশি বিষয়ে বলিয়া অন্ধ হইনু দিবানিশি বিষয়ে বলিয়া অন্ধ হইনু দিবানিশি গলে ফাঁস দিতে ফিরে মায়া সে পিশাচে গলে ফাঁস দিতে ফিরে মায়া সে পিশাচে কি রূপে পাইব সেবা মুই দুরাচার ইহারে করিয়া জয় চারানো না যায় ইহারে করিয়া জয় ছাড়ানো না যায় সাধু কৃপা বিনায়ার nahi koi upay. Sadhu kripa bina yara nahi koi upay. Ki rupe paibo seva muy durachar. Adosha darashi Prabhu patita yudhar. Adosha darashi Prabhu patita yudhar. Ei bara Narottama koroho nistar. Ei bar Narottama koroho nistar. Ki rupe paibo seva muy durachar. Ki rupe paibo seva muy durachar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna, I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of the poison of worldliness. I am not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king of Raja, became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madhai, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishnabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottama Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from the Riddha's lotus feet. For who is my beloved except for you? Move this phone. Hari Hari Bifale Janma Gwainu. Hari Hari Bifale Janma Gwainu. Manusya Janma Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Manusya Janma Paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Aniya shuniya bisha kainu. Janiya shuniya bisha kainu. Janiya shuniya bisha kainu. Golokera prema dhara harinama sankirtana. Premadhana Harinama Sankirtana. Atina Janmi Lokini Janmi Lokini Samsara Vishala Nale Divani Shihira Jwale. Samsara Vishanale Divani Shihya Jwale. Jurayiti na koinu Jurayiti na koinu Nandana Jai Shachi Shuta Hoiroshe Rajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuta Hoiroshe Rajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuta Hoiroshe Alarama Hoironi Jata Shilo Hariname Udharilo Dinahina Jata Shilo Hariname Udharilo Dinahina Jata Shilo Hariname Udharilo Shaki Jaga Madhai Shaki Jaga Madhai Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Jutta Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Jutta Karuna Karo Ye Bharo Karuna Karo Ye Bharo Narottama Dasa Koi Natili Boranga Pai Narottama Dasa Koi Natili Boranga Pai Tuma bine ke achi amar Tuma bine ke achi amar Hari Hari Vipale Janma Dvainu Hari Hari Vipale Janma Jai.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hyam Dadati Supadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Akumara Brahmachari Sarvatirtha Darshi Parama Bhagavatottama Srila Narottama Dasaha. Narottam Das was a brahmachari throughout his entire life. He visited all the places of pilgrimage. He was on the highest platform of devotional achievement. So, today is the appearance day of Srila Narottama Das Thakur. I am especially inspired on this day because of this amazing, very ecstatic book. It's a really riveting read. And I'm going to primarily be reading from that book. But just to gain some understanding, there's a few nice things that are stated here. This is from Bhakti Ratnakar 1-281. Narottam Thakur was Champak Manjari in Krishna Leela, eternally assisting Rupa Manjari in her service to Radha and Krishna. Champak Manjari was merciful to the conditioned souls of this earth and appeared as Narottam in the village of Kheturi, about 12 miles from Rampur Bowalia, in the Gopalpur subdivision of Rajshahi district. This is all in Bangladesh right now. Used to be in, it was all one Bengal back in the day. This took place on the full moon day of the month of Magh, sometime around the middle of the 15th century of the Shaka era. Narottam was born on Maghi Purnima. From that day on, he thrived and grew like the waxing moon. Okay, so a little bit about Srila Narottama Das Thakur. So Narottam's appears in the family of Kayastha, landlords. Narottam's background is very similar to the background of Raghunath Das Goswami. In fact, the story itself is extremely similar of the way he escapes from his family and things like that. Only difference is that Narottam does it much younger than Raghunath Das Goswami. Here, this is Narottam's father's name is Krishnananda and his mother's name is Narayani. So reading from page 10 of The Glorious Life of Srila Narottama Das Thakur by Sheetala Dasi. She has written this book with some level of poetic, dramatic license. Let me say it like that. Her sources are Narottam Vilas, Bhakti Ratnakar, Prema Vilas, and Karna Ananda. Secondary resources used were Narottam Charita, an unpublished, untitled manuscript on Narottam Das Thakur's life by O.B.L. Kapoor. Notes and lectures from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and a plethora of seminars and lectures given by senior devotees. And of course, whatever could be gleaned from Srila Prabhupada's writings. So, her reading is more like you're almost like watching a drama, because she goes into describing lamentations and things like that. I didn't find anything particularly wrong with the mood and expression here. So we might as well read, relish and worship Srila Narottam Charita. Narayani was soon pregnant. The elated couple waited impatiently for the months to pass, hardly able to think of anything other than their unborn child. Finally, at 6 o'clock in the morning, on the full moon day of Magha, January-February, Narayani gave birth to a healthy male child. There's a note here that says, according to Prema Vilas, the birth of Narottam was on the 5th day of the bright half of the month of Magh at 6 p.m. So other sources say he was born in the morning. When the child appeared, an unearthly effulgence illuminated the delivery room, and profound happiness swelled in the hearts of everyone present. Narayani gazed lovingly at the charming face of her son. "Just see how beautiful he is," she exclaimed to the midwives. His features are exquisitely fine, and his eyes are like lotus petals. Embracing her child tightly, she wept with joy. One of the midwives rushed out of the room and announced the good news. Krishnananda beamed with delight and hurried to see his son. The musicians awaiting in the palace courtyard for the birth announcement played celebratory music, and the village brahmanas loudly chanted auspicious Vedic hymns. These stories are really nice because you can understand the culture around how these events were celebrated back in the day. And remember, this is only 500 years ago, and you see the description to be very similar to the birth of, for instance, Lord Chaitanya, who appeared around the same time, and also Lord Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago in Dwapara Yuga. So, why are these things important? Because from these we understand what to do in our Varnashram farm communities, how things are conducted. The news of the child's birth spread quickly. The residents of Keturi, having great affection for their Raja and Rani, rushed to the palace with gifts for the newborn child. Everyone wanted a glimpse of the little prince. Though the proud father could barely take his eyes off the child's face, Krishnananda managed to welcome each visitor warmly. Again, you can see here how guests are welcomed, and even though the mother and father are deeply attached to the child, they welcome each visitor. Amid this excitement, Narayani suddenly saw the most beautifully resplendent figures enter her room. One of them was glowing like molten gold, and the other had a creamy white complexion and wore brilliant blue garments. Amazed, Narayani sat upright, staring with wide eyes as the extraordinary personalities danced ecstatically in her home. Bewildered, she looked around, but no one else in the room seemed to notice at the remarkable scene. When she turned again to look at the dancers, they had vanished. Narayani sank back into her pillow. Overcome with confusion, excitement, and fatigue, she thought, I must be imagining things. Unable to comprehend that the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his associates had blessed her home with their presence, she simply turned back to look at her son's face. In moments, she had forgotten everything else. Feeling herself the most fortunate woman in the universe, her heart overflowed with happiness and contentment. So here you can see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu personally visited Narottama Das Thakur's house before his, at the time of his birth. And why? Because there's another amazing story of Narottama Das Thakur. This is before Narottama Das Thakur's appearance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visits the same place. He comes to Keturi and is performing kirtan on the banks of the Ganga. And there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts exclaiming Narottam's name out loud. Narottam, Narottam, and he starts crying and he starts fainting. And the following morning, so here's the description, all the devotees were amazed, and Mahaprabhu reveals to Nityananda Prabhu that something amazing is going to happen the next day. He's going to deposit his love that he has, love of Godhead that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu possesses, that prema bhakti, he's going to deposit in the river for someone known as Narottam. At the river bank, Nityananda Prabhu turned to the devotees, stopped the kirtan. Watch carefully, he said. Something extraordinary is about to take place. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to place his divine love into the Padmavati river. Oh, I'm saying Ganga. Sorry, the Padmavati river. Sometime in the future, this love will be given to a devotee named Narottam. Devotees watched curiously as Sri Chaitanya stepped with his lotus feet into the water and slowly waded to the river's center. To their amazement, the placid river swelled with joy. Transformed by the Lord's touch, the water appeared to dance in glee, swirling and gurgling as it rose higher and higher. Within moments, the river overflowed with ecstasy, spilling over its banks and gushing onto the land. All at once, an extraordinarily beautiful woman rose from the waves. She stood before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with folded palms. Her silken garment shimmered in the breeze, and her jeweled crown sparkled in the morning sunlight. She asked humbly, "My Lord, how can I serve you?" So here, Padmavati river, the goddess Padmavati, she's wearing silken sari. Silk sari. Silk sari is worn for auspicious occasions and is also worn by, it's a mark of not just auspiciousness, it's a mark of beauty as well. And she wore a sari, so that means women are meant to wear saris. She asks humbly, "My Lord, how can I serve you?" "O goddess of this river," Padmavati Devi, Mahaprabhu said, "I want to leave my transcendental property in your care. Please take my love and keep it with you until a devotee named Narottama bathes here. At that time, deliver this love to him." "Yes, my Lord," she replied submissively, "but how will I recognize Narottama?" "When a young, dark-complexioned boy who is filled with love of God enters your waters, causing them to surge and flood the land as they did today, you will know that is Narottama." "But, my Lord, if this boy has so much devotion that his touch will cause me to overflow with ecstasy, even before he has received your divine treasure, what will his condition be after receiving your love?" "Don't worry," the Lord interrupted. "Narottama will sustain my love. When he comes, simply give my love to him." So, you can see here that Narottama was a dark-complexioned boy. So that's an important point to note, because later his complexion changes. He's dark-complexioned. Another point to also note, that pure devotees can be dark-complexioned also. And it doesn't mean that all pure devotees are fair-complexioned. Arjuna was dark-complexioned. Draupadi, who was one of the most beautiful women present at that time, was dark-complexioned, etc. Okay, going back to the story. So, I'm going to skip a few things about Narottama Das Thakur's youthful pastimes. I've only seen this in this book. It's really amazing. Let's see. Okay. Before Narottama Das Thakur's birth, Krishnananda calls the astrologers. So, this is after his birth, sorry. So after his birth, Krishnananda called a few local pundits to calculate the child's astrological chart and to recommend a suitable name. After carefully studying the chart, the astrologers agreed that it was extraordinarily auspicious. "This is definitely not the chart of an ordinary person," one of them announced. "We can also understand this simply by looking at the auspicious signs on the child's body." "Yes," another astrologer agreed, "this child will have all good qualities and be extremely religious. He will bring great fortune to everyone in this region." Glowing with both pride and happiness, Krishnananda asked, "What shall we name him?" The Panditas discussed at length and eventually concluded, "We all agree that the boy's name should contain one or more of the syllables Na, Ra and Ta. We think Narottama would be a most suitable name because Nara means man and Uttama means topmost. It is clear from this boy's chart that he will indeed be the greatest of men." Krishnananda exclaimed, "How amazing it is," he said softly to his wife, "that these astrologers have chosen the same name the oracle predicted before the child's conception." Turning to the astrologers, the king asked, "Now tell me, what else do you see in his chart?" One of the Pandits, however, warned, "Majumdar, I must caution you, there is one thing to watch out for. Be careful when you take your son to the river. It could be dangerous for him there." Raja Krishnananda shivered at the thought of any possible danger to his son and firmly resolved that although he lived a short distance from the Padmavati river, he would keep Narottama away from the water. Later, in Narottama Das Thakur's childhood, there's another pastime. Let's see. Yeah. This just shows how Krishnananda is just amazing. Okay. Looking out of his window, Krishnananda noticed little Narottama playing in front of the palace with some village children. "Naru, oh Naru," he called affectionately. "Where are you going?" Narottama waved happily. "I'm going, Pita. I'm going to see the big river with my friends." "What? You come back to the palace right now," Krishnananda ordered. Rushing outside, he swept Narottama up in his arms and hugged him tightly to his chest. "Naru, you know that you don't have to leave the palace for anything. Whatever you want, we will bring you here. But Pita, I want to go to the river." "But no, I have told you many times that rivers are dangerous for you." Seeing the hurt in his son's eyes, Krishnananda spoke more gently. Don't worry, Naru. I will have a pond dug next to the palace and fill it with water from the Padma. Then you can learn to swim with the guards watching you. Now run along inside and take your bath. Tonight we will listen to the sadhus speak. Narottam ran obediently into his house. And Krishnananda turned to the village children. Don't you ever mention the river to Narottam again. He fumed. The children ran away, and Krishnananda turned to his guards near the palace door. What is this nonsense? Why did you not bring my son back inside? You know that he is absolutely forbidden to go to the river. Never ever let this happen again. So then, I'm reading all this because, for instance, generally you will see what they would say is that it just says that from his early childhood, Narottam began to show signs of his future greatness. Everyone was amazed to see his great intelligence and devotional demeanor. He was constantly absorbed in meditation on the wonderful qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The Lord and his associates often appeared to him in dreams. So this is a very concise thing. This is quite elaborate, and I thought it's quite nice that we get to understand what does it mean, what exactly, how did Narottam Das Thakur's affection and devotion to Lord Chaitanya and his associates become revealed. So then, his father was a big landowner. Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, I skipped this. Someone called out affectionately, "Oh, here is our Rajakumara Narottam. Come over here and talk to your uncle." Many of the ladies hurried toward Narottam to play with him and pinch his cheeks. Everyone was captivated by Narottam's bright, handsome face. Accustomed to such pampering and coddling, Narottam simply smiled good-naturedly. As the lecture was about to begin, Krishnananda grabbed Narottam's hand and walked to the front of the courtyard and took his seat directly in front of the speaker. So now there's some kind of katha happening. Because many of the residents gathered and they have a lecture. So Krishnananda and Narayani, they were devotees. And you can see they were quite nice devotees actually. Narottam sat beside him. "Sit quietly, Narottam, and listen respectfully to the instructions of the sadhus," he whispered. "Even if we don't understand much of what they say, we should still listen respectfully and try to receive their mercy." So this is another important aspect of culture, that even if one does not understand what is being spoken in a class, still, if one respectfully listens, one gets the mercy. And how did Krishnananda get that mercy? Actually, let's read this short excerpt. The speaker uttered auspicious prayers of invocation and began his lecture, explaining the importance of detachment from material pleasure. As a boy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's follower, Sri Raghunath Das, lived like a prince. His father was a big landowner and earned over 200,000 gold coins a month. But Raghunath Das was so attracted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet that he had no interest whatsoever in his father's wealth. Eventually, he managed to run away from home and went to Puri. There he fell at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and surrendered his life to him. From that day on, Raghunath Das was totally absorbed in loving service to Mahaprabhu and never worried about how he himself would be maintained. He ate the only few morsels of food he managed to beg from pilgrims passing the Simhadwar gate. After some time, he even stopped begging and instead went to the drain where the refuse from the kitchen was thrown. Taking a handful of discarded rotting rice, he washed it off and made his meal. Narottam listened, enthralled, his eyes wide. He loved to hear about these wonderful stories the sadhus described. His heart was filled with both awe and respect. "I would like to be a great devotee like Raghunath Das," he thought. After the lecture, Krishnananda and his family went to their private rooms. Narottam, come sit next to me and have some sweet rice, Krishnananda said. "But Pita, what is Raghunath Das eating? Do you think we should eat such opulent food?" Raghunath simply begged his food at the Simhadwar gate. Narayani laughed. "Naru, do you think you have become a sadhu like Raghunath Das?" "Clever child," Krishnananda chuckled. He listens nicely. Patting Narottam on the head, he said, "You're a good boy, Narottam. If you learn to take guidance from the sadhus and serve the Vaishnavas nicely, you will be a very good king when you grow up." Narayani filled the silver bowls with sweet rice and Narottam and Krishnananda began to eat. After a few minutes, Narottam said, Pita, why don't we leave home? Ha, leave home? Why should we leave home? Everything is so nice here. No, Pita, Narottam said seriously. We should run away like Raghunath Das did. We can stay in a dharmashala. But make sure your servant doesn't bring gold coins with him. Remember the story we heard about Sanatan Goswami? His servant almost got them killed. Got them killed because he secretly brought gold coins. Amused by Narottam's childish talks, Krishnananda laughed. Naru, stop fantasizing. We cannot imitate devotees like Raghunath Das. These are great souls. They are worshipable people. We can worship them, but we can never become like them. We have to perform our own duties to care for the citizens. Yes, Pita, Narottam said submissively, but he thought, yes, you cannot become like them, but I can and I will. So, here you can see that although Krishnananda and his wife would sit and listen to the lectures and things like that, they couldn't really absorb the essence of that practice. In fact, they never had any idea of renouncing their family life or going anywhere. As Krishnananda himself says, everything is so nice here, why should I leave? And therefore the story is very similar to Raghunath Das's parents also, who were also devotees, but who just couldn't tolerate that their son was thinking of renouncing the material world. But then, how do you think that, how can we understand that Krishnananda and his wife actually got the benefit? Well, because Krishnananda and Narayani were such good devotees, they were blessed with a son like Narottam, who, yes, apparently externally gave them a lot of sorrow by, as we will read, their sorrow. It's kind of heartbreaking a bit. The story is quite heartbreaking. But still, because they have a son like Krishnananda, a son like Narottam, Krishnananda and Narayani ultimately were delivered and attained the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Something that they, in their regular course of activities, would have not been able to do so. They would have been good devotees, but they would have to come to the stage someday of Narottam Das Thakur. So, this is the point, that this is how that culture is so important. That they may not understand the lecture, you may not, but still sit, respect the sadhus. Some benefit will come and Krishna's mercy comes. Of course, when it generally comes, they don't appreciate it, as we will see. But later they do. That also is there in the story. We'll see what we can cover. Okay. So, over the next few years, now Narottam is of schooling age and he's learning different things. Over the next few years, Narottam listened dutifully as his teachers taught. He quickly mastered Sanskrit, logic and rhetoric. They marveled at his brilliance, especially his sharp memory and peaceful submissive attitude towards his teachers. Yet Narottam's heart was not in his studies. He wanted to learn more about spiritual topics. Closing his grammar book one day, he offered obeisances to his teacher and hurried up the steps to his room. Peering out an open window, he looked out over the village. His eyes fell on a group of pilgrims walking toward the large pavilion his father erected to accommodate sadhus passing through Keturi. Those Vaishnavas must be returning from Jagannath Puri, he thought. Intrigued, he watched them carefully. Returning his eyes from the pilgrims, Narottam began to study their faces. They were glowing with happiness. I want to understand their joy, Narottam thought. What did they see in Jagannath Puri that made them so wonderfully effulgent? Turning away from the window, Narottam ran to one of the servants at the palace door and tugged at his sleeve. Please take me outside. I want to get a closer look at the pilgrims. Tugged at his sleeve means he's still a small boy. I'm not sure if your father, please, Narottam pleaded sweetly. Well, I guess it can't do you any harm, the servant said. Taking Narottam by the hand, two of the pilgrims wandered through the village, observing the pilgrims. From that day onwards, whenever Narottam had spare time, he would ask a servant to accompany him so that he could go out and mingle with the pilgrims and listen to their discussions. One day he noticed a very old man addressing the crowd. The man's eyes were bright and clear, and his speech was so sweet that Narottam was immediately drawn to him. Narottam remembered seeing the same sadhu talking to his father at the palace. Narottam whispered to his servant escort, Who is that man? Oh, the servant said with surprise. Don't you know? That's Krishnadas Babaji. He was a personal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's living in Keturi now. So then Narottam starts hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates from Krishnadas Babaji. Now this goes on because Krishnadas Babaji, attracted by Narottam's eagerness to hear about Lord Chaitanya and his pastimes, decides to come into the palace and start explaining those pastimes to him. So then, there, that is from whom Narottam hears about his spiritual master, Lokanath Goswami. So, again, it's very nice. This is Lokanath Goswami's story. Very intriguing story, but because of a lack of time, I don't want to continue reading that full pastime. But I'll go to the end of it and read this thing. Okay. So basically, what happens is Lokanath Goswami, feeling great renunciation, arrives at Nadia at the doorstep of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's house to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lokanath Goswami is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. He has come to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrounded by Murari, Gadadhar, Srivas and all the other associates. And the Lord too, filled with delight at the sight of Lokanath, says, Lokanath, you have come. And he embraces Lokanath and then asks Lokanath to come the next day, saying that he has a very special service for him. And the very next day that Lokanath Goswami comes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu orders. He says, I'm giving you, he says that, Lokanath, you are very fortunate. Krishna has chosen for you a task which is very dear to him. The sacred land of Lord Krishna's loving pastime, Sri Vrindavan, is now a deserted forest. I want you to go to that holy dham and reclaim the holy places associated with Krishna's Leela. You should devote yourself to this great service. There is no need for you to stay here at Navadvip. See, he arrives. He meets the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His whole life he is thinking of going there. He arrives. Next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu orders him, go to Vrindavan. You don't need to stay here in Navadvip. So it's a very painful scene. It's described really, really amazing here. And Narottam, hearing that, gasps, interrupted Krishnadas' narration. But how could he leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal association? It must have been so difficult. Did he ever see the Lord again? Well, Krishnadas said, yes and no. When Lokanath left Nadia, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would meet him in Vrindavan. But after Lokanath and Bhugarbha, and there's a whole story that what happens is, Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami, they hear that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gone on South India Yatra. And they decide to leave Vrindavan searching for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's at that time that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visits Vrindavan. And then by the time Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left Vrindavan. It's a very, very painful scene. So actually, they only met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in visions, but not actually during the course of their pastime. So but basically at this point, so Krishnadas is about to describe this, but he doesn't get to describe this. Raja Krishnananda stood quietly in one corner of the room, observing the aged sadhu and his beloved son deep in conversation. The king's bro, is that how you said? B-R-O-W. Brow. Okay. Brow knitted with concern. Narottam is spending too much time listening to these stories, he thought. I must put a stop to it, but I don't want to offend the great soul, Sri Krishnadas. Krishnananda called out gently, all right, Narottam, it is getting late. Your mother has prasad ready for you. His reverie, is that right? R-E-V-E-R-I-E. Reverie broken, Narottam looked up. Oh Pita, is it late already? But Babaji Maharaj was telling me the most wonderful story. That's nice, Naru, but it's getting late. Go find your mother. Krishnadas chuckled. Run along, Narottam. I will tell you more stories tomorrow. With regret, Narottam offered his humble obeisances to Krishnadas and then hurried from the room, his mind racing as he remembered all that he had just heard. So that's basically the end of Narottam's association with Krishnadas, Babaji. Anyways, you can see here how Krishnananda expertly does this without offending Krishnadas also. So he's a Vaishnava, he understands. And these are all very important aspects of etiquette that we can learn from these kind of stories. How how devotees act when they have to tell something, but there's some senior involved. And anyways, so there are a lot of stories that one can learn. So then Narayani sat down next to her husband, her face tense with worry. Prabhu, I'm concerned about Narottama. He has become indifferent to everything. His mind isn't on his studies anymore, and he shows no interest in village affairs. He doesn't even enjoy playing with other children. He seems only interested in hearing Krishnadas stories and doing puja. She added, it is fortunate he has such strong spiritual inclinations, but too much detachment is unnatural and unhealthy for a boy of that age, especially for the son of a king. What will become of him? Krishnananda furrowed his brow. What you say is true. I do not know what to do with him either, he said, shaking his head. He is no longer a child. He has to start thinking of his future responsibilities, but he seems overly detached from everything worldly. I am getting old. It won't be long before he'll have to relieve me of my duties. He sighed, it's good he's a religious boy, but he seems too carried away by it all. We are kayasthas and we must manage the affairs of our village and collect taxes. Narottama too will have this responsibility. He is our only son. He is getting too old to behave as if he were a sadhu. Krishnananda sat silently, lost in thought. Finally, he turned to Narayani and announced, I think I know what we can do. Let's arrange Narottama's marriage. That will ground him and wake him up to his responsibilities. Narayani agreed. Confident they had found a solution, Shri and Krishnananda began to search for a suitable bride. So then, Narottama lay on his bed, staring into the darkness of his night, his mind spinning. I can't bear to hear another word about property management or collecting taxes. I have absolutely no interest in these things. I just want to dedicate my life fully to the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sighed deeply. I want so much to be in Vrindavan. I desperately want to meet the personal associates of Mahaprabhu living there. Sri Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Das, many of them are very old. How much longer can they remain in this world? I have to get there before it is too late. So, Narottama lay awake with these thoughts for a long time. Finally, he decided, I see no other alternative. I have to leave home. Late into the night, as sleep overtook him, Narottama had a startling vision. Shri Nityananda Prabhu appeared before him. The Lord's face was more beautiful than millions upon millions of moons. He had a tall, strong, heroic stature, and his arms, legs, hands were beautifully formed, and his eyes resembled lotus flowers. He wore golden earrings, armlets, and bangles. Smiling, he told Narottama, go at once to the Padmavati river to bathe. Padmavati Devi has been keeping a gift for you, and she will deliver it when you come. She has been waiting for you. Then the Lord disappeared. Narottama woke with a start. Astonished, overcome with transcendental ecstasy, he jumped out of the bed. He had to get out of the palace and down to the Padmavati immediately. Afraid that he might be seen by one of the ever-protective household servants, Narottama decided to climb out through his window. He stacked furniture under a small window high up the wall. Scaling it, he then squeezed through and pulled himself out onto the roof. As silently as possible, he slid down the eaves and dropped quietly to the ground. So then, he enters into the Padma river, and there the same thing happens that we read, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what happens when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the Padmavati river. Narottama suddenly saw the goddess Padmavati Devi standing before him. Shocked, he stared at her with wide eyes. Padmavati Devi smiled warmly at him. Before you were born, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his divine love in my care and instructed me to give it to a boy named Narottama, whose touch would make my waters rise in the same way they did when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself came here. Clearly, you are the rightful recipient of this most extraordinary gift. I have been waiting a very long time for your visit. Now, please take this topmost treasure. Saying this, Padmavati Devi moved towards Narottama with outstretched hands, holding what appeared to be a radiant golden lotus flower. Without warning, the goddess Padmavati disappeared, and Narottama was astonished to see the golden lotus transform into a luminous golden-colored boy. This exquisite form, which was none other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, danced toward him and entered his body. Narottama felt Mahaprabhu's essence engulf him. Powerless in the grip of the Lord's ecstasy, he shouted, Gauranga, Gauranga. As the Lord's love infused his every limb, Narottama's swarthy complexion lightened. So his entire complexion changed, transforming his skin into a beautiful golden color. His skin also slackened, and he shivered and trembled uncontrollably. The current of divine love that coursed through his body was so intense that Narottama couldn't contain his emotions. Staggering out of the water, he laughed, cried, sang, and danced furiously on the banks of the Padmavati, lost in the ecstasy of love, oblivious to everything around him. Narottama was abruptly brought back to external consciousness when he heard his father's frantic shouts. She's so good at describing this. It's like you can make an entire play out of this. It will be so amazing to have a drama on this. Naru, Naru, where are you? Look, there is someone over there. It doesn't look like Narottama. Oh my dear Lord, what has happened to my son? Squinting in the pre-dawn darkness, Narottama saw a large crowd of people rushing towards him with torches. To his surprise, he heard his mother's hysterical voice. It is Naru. Can't you recognize your own son? Look, he's wearing Naru's ornaments. Narayani ran to where Narottama stood and kissed his face again and again. Naru, Naru, she cried, why did you sneak off like this? Why didn't you tell us where you were going? We were so frightened when we found your room empty. We searched everywhere for you. I was frantic. Taking Narottama's face in her hands, she looked at him in bewilderment. What has happened to you? Why do you look so strange? What has happened to your skin? Her voice shook. Are you all right? Narottama managed to stutter a few words as he tried to compose himself. But the thoughts of Lord Chaitanya again surged in his heart, and he pulled away from his mother, yelling, Gauranga, Gauranga! Tears of ecstasy streamed from his eyes as he danced around the crowd of confused relatives and friends. Krishnananda gaped at his son in disbelief. What is this bizarre behavior? He cried. It's like he's possessed by a ghost. I've heard a terrible Brahma Rakshasa lives in a tamarind tree over there. Perhaps he has entered Naru's body. This is horrible. Quick, let us get him home. Bewildered and frightened, Krishnananda grabbed hold of Narottama. Narayani pleaded with her son, Stop this, Narottama. Please come home with us now. With great difficulty, she managed to get their son home and into his bed. If you can try to conjecture up a Bengali mother screaming hysterically, you can kind of get some idea of the level. Bengali women have very shrill, high-pitched voices. Bengali men have high-pitched voices. Bengali women have it, 10 notches higher than that. And so it must have been a big scene there. Realizing the anxiety he was causing, Narottama tried to calm himself, but the golden lord he had seen at the Padmavati appeared within his mind, and he again became wild. Thrashing about on his bed with tears shooting from his eyes, he called, Gauranga, Gauranga. Suddenly his mood changed and he began to laugh loudly. Several times he tried to jump from his bed, but Krishnananda forcibly held him down. All the while Narayani was frantically fanning him to cool him down. Concerned relatives and friends stood around Narottama's bed, all of them helpless and perplexed, as the boy repeated over and over, that boy, golden, my body, entered. Not knowing what else to do, Krishnananda ordered one of his servants, bring a tantric to help cure my boy. An exorcist soon arrived and began chanting mantras, waving peacock feathers in front of the boy's face. Narottama, however, continued to flail his arms and legs and mumble incoherently about a golden boy. Finally, the exorcist turned to Krishnananda and said, Don't worry, it's not a ghost in your son's body. What do you mean? Krishnananda demanded. Just look at him. He must be possessed. No, the exorcist said. He's simply suffering from an imbalance of air. I suggest you rub jackal oil on his stomach to cure him. Saying this, the tantric left. Eventually, Narottama stopped thrashing and, exhausted, fell asleep. Krishnananda and Narayani sat next to his bed, utterly confused. Narayani sobbed miserably. My child, my dear son, please, please, be your sweet normal self. Krishnananda's face was pale and drawn. I tried, he said. Tears welled up in his eyes. I tried my best to give him everything, to make him happy, to keep him away from the river. But now see his pathetic condition. I cannot bear to see my son like this. He heaved a deep sigh and looked at his wife. We can only pray that he will be all right. Narottama continued to cry incessantly all next day, and his worried parents continued to watch over him helplessly. Krishnananda tried to tell Narottama what the exorcist had said. Narottama, however, only laughed. Do you think you can cure me by killing an animal to make a medicine? Please don't commit the sinful act out of blind affection for me. Oh Pita, can't you understand? I am not haunted by a ghost. I have no disease. I am feeling intense love for the Supreme Lord. This is what makes me cry. Krishnananda and Narayani looked at each other blankly. I have never seen anyone behave like this before. They were simple, pious people, but they knew nothing about the exalted states of extreme devotion to God. So, this is typical, pious Vaishnavas. They don't understand the higher nature. This is what becomes just people who are just on Vaidhi, and they think Vaidhi Bhakti is all in all and finished. And that you just perform regular devotional service, perform your duties, or these people will generally say, Varnashamacharavata Purushena Parafmaman Vishnur Aradyate Panta Nanyatattosha Karanam. Worship Vishnu by performing your Varnashram duties. What else do you need to do? Why are you thinking of anything else? What's wrong with you? And so this is what is happening with Krishnananda and Narayani. Anyways, the story goes on. I don't know where to go on. There's so much that I would like to read here. Narottama was sad to see his parents' distress. He loved them and didn't want to hurt them. But he knew that he was no longer their little Naru. He had been touched by the love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and would never be the same. He couldn't stop the tears of love of God that constantly welled up in his eyes. He tried to reveal his heart to his distraught mother. Mata, if you really want to help me, then let me go to Vrindavan and dedicate my life to the Supreme Lord's service. That is the only medicine for my disease. Let me go to Vrindavan and become healthy. Narayani was shocked. She grabbed a hold of her son and cried, "Don't you ever think of such a thing. You can love God here in your own home. We would rather drink poison than live without you. Do not speak of this anymore. Do not even think of such a thing." Seeing his mother's state, Narottama said no more about it. He simply asked for something to eat and fell silent. Then Narottama reveals his heart to his father. Krishnananda cradled his son's limp body in his arms until Narottama's eyes fluttered open. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he spoke softly to Narottama. "My son, why do you keep talking about going to Vrindavan? It's not necessary for you to go anywhere to lead a spiritual life. Everything you can do in Vrindavan, you can do here. We eat only prasad in this house. We listen to Shastric discourses. The Supreme Lord is here in our home as a Shalagram Shila. Why don't you dedicate your life to his service right here? What is the problem?" Narottama sat up and looked lovingly at his father. "Yes, Pita, what you say may be true, but I am not content with simply following the family traditions and rituals. I don't want to live this comfortable life of pious sense enjoyment. That is only the skeleton of our religion. There is no soul in it. Without elevation to Krishna consciousness through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, life is simply spoiled in the animal propensities of sense gratification. I want to dedicate my entire life to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I want to give myself completely to him. Mind, body and words. To me, only that is real life. Everything else is death." Don't think it is so easy to live like a sadhu, Naru. Krishnananda said, "It is very, very austere life. You are a prince. You could never live like a sadhu. It's not in your nature. Of course, it's a nice idea to leave everything to become a follower of Mahaprabhu. I would also like to join his mission. But Naru, we must be responsible. We have our own duties to perform. We are the patrons of so many Vaishnavas here in Keturi, and they look to us to feed, clothe and protect them. Don't you think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be pleased if you cared for his devotees?" Good arguments. Really good arguments. Narottama fell silent. His parents would never understand. He wondered whether Vrindavan would forever remain an unattainable dream. As he wondered, his throat tightened, tears welled up in his eyes, spilling over into the torrential crying that is his love of God evoked in him. So, you can see here that the general conception of those who are pious is they respect like these elevated people. They don't even mind hearing stories about these, Babaji's ecstatic, they left everything going. But somehow or the other, their conception is, it's not our nature to become like that. They don't actually talk about it, but they think that someone who is like that has to be born like that, but they cannot be born in their own family for some reason, or amongst people they know. It has to be some far-fetched idea that somewhere out in the horizon, that they just offer their obeisances and offer some prayers and some flowers too, and then continue about their duties. This is their conception of such a thing. And from this you can understand the counter problem with Varnashram Dharma, is that Varnashram Dharma can pretty much institute such people. And so there is that danger, and it's always, but anyways, therefore, from this context, one can understand why during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time and his followers right after, there was more rejection of Varnashram than acceptance of it. Because people were very good at following, so good at following, to the extent that they forgot that there is something beyond this. But then what happened? By the time Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, things had flipped. They rejected Varnashram so much that they became debauchees and complete rascals. The worst of society, such that Vaishnav, the word Vaishnav became known as something extremely degraded. So this was not the case during Mahaprabhu's time. You can see in general that these people, they understand Mahaprabhu, they understand his mission, but they followed that within their duties. Anyways, there's so much more. Anyways, eventually Narottam escapes, goes to Vrindavan. There's so many stories here. I actually wanted to read a section of how he was sent. The description of the order, two things. Description of how he got initiated by Lokanath Goswami, and then the description of how Lokanath Goswami orders him to go on the Sankirtan party with Narottam, with Srinivas and Shyamananda. And that whole, it's a very, very touching scene and really inspiring for book distributors. And I'm not speaking about the excerpt about how many books they distributed. That's a really nice thing. I think many of us have read that. If anybody knows where it is, they can post it back on Ashram.com. Almost every year we post that. It's kind of like a nice thing to read. But this is before. This is expressing Narottam Das Thakur's feelings. Actually, Narottam's entire life is a life of separation. Is a life, it's so much. When you read the story, you can understand this song that he sings, Jaya Nilo Prema Dhana, and so many of the other songs that he sings here. I found one song, I can't find this on KK Songs, it's here in this book. I don't know if it's an excerpt. It says, Aneka dhure ka pare, lagi laye chile vraja pure, kripa dhora galaya bandhiya. So this expresses his feelings of separation from Lokanath Goswami. That he comes to Vrindavan. First off, he finds out from Krishnadas that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu have left this world. That's terrible shock for him. And then he cries, lamenting that, why wasn't I born just a few years ago? And he constantly laments about that throughout his life. Then he says, okay, Rupa is here, Sanatan is here, Raghunath Bhatta is here, all these devotees, I must go to Vrindavan. I need to go to, and he's faced with all these obstacles with his mom, and even, basically, he doesn't escape that easily. It takes a while for him to escape. He escapes, he goes, he has visions of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami coming and giving him the milk that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself came and delivered to him on his way to Vrindavan. He arrives in Vrindavan only to find out that Rupa and Sanatan have left. Rupa, Sanatan have left. Some of the other associates of Mahaprabhu have also left. And he becomes completely distraught. He considers himself so that's another whole extreme feeling of separation. And all this while, Narottam is thinking himself as a lowly, fallen, wretched soul who clearly had love of God even before he got it from the Padmavati river. It's just unimaginable. And his songs and prayers to Lokanath Goswami, seeking shelter of a Vaishnava, seeking shelter of a Guru. One of the things we just sang is today also. It's the same mood that, what's that song you say? Ki rupe paibo seva. He's praying like this. I want service to Lokanath Goswami. Lokanath Goswami is this Viviktananda Vaishnav who has taken this vow of extreme renunciation to the extent, it's given here, what a Viviktananda, it's here. Viviktanandi Vaishnava, a hermit who worships the Lord in solitude. So this is a type of a vow that Lokanath Goswami takes, and he associates with the other devotees, but he lives in a secluded place in Vrindavan by himself. And so it's really hard to find anything for him to do service for him, because he doesn't want anything, he doesn't want anybody around him. And so anyways, finally Narottam Das Thakur serves him by cleaning the place where he evacuates every day. And even that, there's a whole conversation that happens between him and Lokanath Goswami. Well, Lokanath Goswami said, why do you want initiation? What is wrong with you? You've already achieved the purpose of initiation. You've already achieved love of God. You've already gotten perfection. Why are you seeking initiation? Narottama says, do you want me to be a fallen soul who doesn't follow in the footsteps of even the predecessor acharyas? Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted as spiritual master. Are you casting me to hell like this? Am I so sinful that which even the conditioned souls, that which any wretched soul is supposed to obtain, I cannot obtain? Am I so conditioned that I cannot even receive initiation? And so this whole amazing dialogue happens between Lokanath and Narottama. And we sing Shri Guru Charana Padma every morning, composed by Narottama Das Thakur. And Narottama finally is in Vrindavan. He's serving under Jiva. He's serving his Guru Lokanath Goswami personally. And then, just after a very short amount of time, because they become very expert, they learn everything very quickly from Jiva Goswami. And then this Jiva Goswami organizes this amazing festival. And it's just so much nectar. This one section, it's like the, it comes here, yeah, preaching, wait. Not pilgrimage. Yeah. Yeah, the mission. So Jiva organizes this festival in Karthik for all the Vaishnavas of Braj. It's so tempting to read this. Well, you know what? I'm going to yield into the temptation. Okay. Late in the afternoon, Sri Jiva Goswami asked the devotees for their attention. Standing before the saintly gathering, he loudly announced, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed all his devotees to write books explaining the science of Krishna consciousness. He told us to distribute these books far and wide. Some of the Lord's most confidential associates, such as Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Krishnadas Kaviraj, have already written many manuscripts. We have hundreds of these manuscripts in Vrindavan. I want these great books to go out into the world, especially to Bengal, where Lord Chaitanya has thousands of followers. Time has come to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's mission. These manuscripts must be taken to Bengal, where they can be read, copied, and distributed throughout the land. He paused, scanning the crowd until he caught sight of his three illustrious students. These devotees, he said, motioning to Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda, have all studied the Bhakti Shastras under my guidance for a number of years and are thoroughly trained in philosophy. I feel they are qualified and competent to fulfill this important mission. They have rightfully earned the titles Narottam Thakur, Mahashai, Srinivas Acharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu. I now humbly request the masters of these disciples to give their permission so that they may go and preach. Stunned by the unexpected announcement, Narottam's eyes flashed to the face of his beautiful spiritual master to gauge his reaction. A harsh silence fell on the assembly as everyone waited for the response of Lokanath Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Though his weak legs could barely hold up his frail form, Sri Lokanath Goswami rose to speak. The Shastras say it is very difficult to get a bona fide guru. It is equally difficult to get a good disciple. I am very fortunate because I have only one disciple and he is the best disciple. He has given me great joy because in his association I feel ecstatic Krishna prema. I wish to never give up his company, but for the mission of Mahaprabhu, I give my full blessings. He can go. Narottam was shocked. In one short sentence, the trajectory of his entire life was to change dramatically. His heart sank at the thought of leaving his beloved spiritual master's personal service. At once he was filled with concerns. Who will assist my Gurudev in his service? He is so old now. Who will fan him in the summer as he does his puja? And in the winter, who will light his stove to warm him? Who will collect flowers for his worship or bring him water or wash his lotus feet? Then Sri Gopal Bhatta stood. I too give my blessings to my disciple. Srinivas has my permission to take up this mission. As cheers of approval rang out from among the devotees, Narottam's mind continued to reel. But I had planned to live my life in Vrindavan for the rest of my life. I cannot bear the thought of leaving. I may never see any of these exalted Vaishnavas again. Not my beloved spiritual master, not Sri Jiva Goswami. His heart felt as if it was being torn into two. The thought of leaving was devastating, but he could But there could be no greater honor than to take part in the Lord's glorious mission. How could he refuse such service? Anyways, it goes further, and there's amazing feelings of separation described between Lokanath Goswami and Narottama Das Thakur. And he says here that Lokanath Goswami, entering Lokanath Goswami's kunj, he saw him sitting before his beloved deity, Sri Radha Vinod. Narottama threw himself at the feet of his spiritual master, unable to contain his sorrow. When he looked up, he saw Lokanath Goswami staring lovingly at him. Narottama couldn't find the words to say goodbye to his beloved Guru. How could he express his gratitude and love? His throat ached as he choked back tears. The thought of them being separated, perhaps forever, was unbearable. Sri Lokanath Goswami wrapped his thin arms around his disciple and embraced him warmly. Narottama, what you are about to do is the perfection of everything I have taught you. Always remember to serve the deities with love, and serve the Vaishnavas with the same love and devotion with which you serve the Lord. Remain vigilant to avoid all offenses and dedicate your life fully to spreading the Sankirtan movement. Tears flowed from Lokanath's eyes as he spoke. Take this Vrindavan atmosphere with you, Narottama. Vrindavan is always in the devotee's heart. So carry it with you. Just chant Hare Krishna, because wherever there is chanting, there is Vrindavan. Tears streamed down from Narottama's cheeks. Gurudev, if you can give the servant permission, then I can come from Gaudadesh to have darshan of... Sometimes I can come from Gaudadesh to have darshan of your lotus feet. Sri Lokanath Goswami shook his head. Now you have to make your life successful by preaching Mahaprabhu's religion of love. I don't think it will be necessary for you to return here. Some accounts say, this is in the footnote, some accounts say that Lokanath gave permission for Narottama to come, but he never really managed to come back. At least have darshan of Lokanath Goswami, because he left. Hearing these words, Narottama fell to the ground. For some time he lay at the spiritual master's feet, offering obeisances, and then without protest he rose and left the kunja with Srinivas. His guru's last instructions echoed heavily in his heart. That night Narottama lay on his bed, restless and unable to sleep. His happy life in Vrindavan flooded his mind, and in darkness he savored his last hours of Vrindavan atmosphere. O Vrindavan, how can I leave you? Will I ever see my spiritual master again, or the Goswamis or other Vrajavasis again? Will I ever feel the dust of this transcendental land coat my body? Will I ever see Govardhan Hill again, or bathe in the sacred Yamuna? In this transcendental, turbulent emotional state, he composed a verse. When shall I see the abode of mercy? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has distributed his potency in two ways, by investing in Srila Rupa Goswami and others with the power to write devotional books wherein the priceless treasures of spiritual knowledge shine like brilliant jewels, and empowering Srinivas Acharya to distribute these books. Thus I worship the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has empowered his devotees in these two ways to shower his mercy on the world. So anyways, so much more goes about how the exact party left and everything, left Vrindavan. But from this you can also see how the first transcendental book distribution mission began and how sacred it was. You can see Lokanath Goswami is a Viviktanandi Vaishnava. He worships the Lord in solitude. And you can see how much feeling they have for the distribution of Prabhupada's books, and how important they considered it for devotees to leave that shelter, go out into the world and distribute what they have received from the acharyas, and help the fallen conditioned souls come to the lotus feet of our acharyas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a very divine transcendental mission. So much more can be read. We can spend days discussing Narottama Katha, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But I will stop here and end without any comments. Hare Krishna. Srila Narottama Das Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.